Okay.
Be like the city council and go to 2 in the morning.
We are live now, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the June regular meeting of the Santa Monica Disabilities Commission. First item we have, as always, is our roll call. And as always, I have forgotten to bring up the official list here, so give me one moment here. Okay, so Commissioner Royale.
Here.
Commissioner Frames is not present. Commissioner Adeyemi is not present. Commissioner Rackfeld.
Present.
Chair Antonini is present. Commissioner Elliott.
Here.
Commissioner Kazumia Dodge.
Oh, present.
Commissioner Gordon.
Here.
Commissioner Azaria.
Here.
And Vice Chair Sussman.
Here.
Oh, I didn't put the mic here.
All right, thank you. First item on the agenda is public input on non-agenda items. Are there any members of the public who would like to provide input? If not, then we can move on to item 2, which is public input on agenda items. Under special agenda items and consent calendar only, are there any members of the public who would like to make any comment on agenda items under special agenda items and consent calendar? I don't see anything, so we can move on to 3A. Move on to section 3, special agenda items. I'm going to reverse the order here just in case some of our other commissioners join us late. So I'll start with 3C, some commissioner announcements and resources. These are from Commissioner Elliott. Do I have to?
All right, so 3CI. So last month, a friend of the commission, Joe Devin, it was Global Accessibility Awareness Day. And as part of that, Apple put a really good collection of films and documentaries about disability. So I just wanted to link that for the public. Similarly, I think about it's probably been about 2 or 3 years, our commission put together a collection of disability awareness reads for the Santa Monica Library. So I just wanted to have that link there, and that's something we should build upon. So maybe we could take a couple of the films from the Apple TV collection and other books you guys like from the library and start to make our collection more robust for the community. So people can download or stream or whatever, or go to the library and learn more about people with disabilities. 3C is a follow-up from last one. There are some big items relating to people with disabilities in the budget revision. So I just wanted to put an article from a disability organization that had some feedback on it. The big item is the income limits for Medicaid. They were proposing some substantial changes. There was no income limit. It got taken away, and they want to bring it back and have it be like $2,000, which is a major concern for a lot of folks.
And it's not income, right? It's asset.
Asset, sorry. Thanks for the asset limits. Thanks for the correction on that. So it was $2,000, then it went up to 100-something thousand, then it was eliminated, and now they propose bringing it all the way back in the May revision. Yeah, there's a lot of concerns from the community about that. So I just wanted to, get the community one link away to learn more about it, so they can, give informed feedback on their concerns. So that's 3. 4 is just so when I was at UC Berkeley, the person that ran the accessible library, they called it the Cave, put out a great article on some of the sacrifices people with disabilities make when they use assistive technologies. She's an expert in the field, Lucy Greco, and I know we've talked a lot about tech, so I thought that would be good for the community. But just some concerns people with disabilities have is that your assistive technology leaves a breadcrumb or a marker. So some people are concerned that there's privacy implications, or you might get a B-class experience. So if a website picks up you're using assistive technology, they'll give you like a simpler or dumbed down website to make it accessible. There's a lot more, but I just wanted to give two things, but a great article from one of the experts in the field. 5 is continuing on what we've talked about, just about limits on collecting information about people with disabilities. There's just not a lot of information of people with disabilities who qualify for Medicaid but didn't get Medicaid because they have a disability. That's a lot. And then just we've talked ad nauseum about just the limits of the census and other surveys about demographics. They just don't count people with disabilities. This article sums it up really nicely. It's a very well-written article. I have like the same data points in multiple articles. This is a good kind of putting all the things together in one article concisely. So that's why I wanted to share this one in particular. And then the last one, 3.6, to keep it moving, digital apps on iPhones, Android, iPads are becoming ubiquitous, and they still have major accessibility challenges. So this is just a good article that sums that up. Yeah, I actually just was outside playing with those big displays, and they have like an accessibility overlay, and they're not very responsive. So there's been progress, but there's a long way to go to make mobile applications accessible. And should be a sense of urgency with the rules at the end of April of next year to meet those requirements. So from both a compliance perspective and a just inclusiveness perspective, there should be some improvements in the industry and in Silicon Beach or whatever we call us now. All right, I'll keep that quick. Thanks for being flexible with the agenda.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for, as always, for compiling these.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yeah.
So you said the asset is, the limit is $2,000 for Medi-Cal, but was it approved or is this a proposal?
A proposal in the revision, so nothing's been approved, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
That's in fact.
Commissioner Kazmi Dodge.
Yeah, I just wanted to give my congratulations. That was great. I really was tuned into the Apple having the film. That would be wonderful. I've always liked that idea with the library and us having all those, books and articles and whatever available, and now films and streaming. Yeah, right on. Thanks.
Thank you. So I think we can get back to the original order. So item 3A, we get to meet Blake Stavros, who is the ADA coordinator for the City of Santa Monica. Thank you very much for speaking to us. It's a great pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. Okay, so before I start, I was previously sick, so if my voice is a little hoarse or I cough, sorry. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to provide an update on my role as the ADA coordinator. As I have mentioned before, my background is in architecture. Therefore, I've been working in Architectural Services Division to help prioritize accessibility improvements in City Hall, the pier, multiple street sidewalks, and city parks. As you may know, Title II of the American with Disabilities Act requires all public entities to conduct a self-evaluation of their services, policies, and practices to make any necessary modifications and avoid discrimination. Additionally, entities with 50 or more employees are required to create an ADA transition plan if any structural changes or structural changes to facilities are needed to achieve program accessibility. Over the past several months, we have taken important steps to meet these obligations and ensure that our community is welcoming and inclusive for individuals with disabilities. For the self-evaluation progress, we launched a pilot program with the Housing and Human Services Department by conducting a thorough self-evaluation across their programs, services, and activities. We are currently awaiting the final responses before sending this citywide to all departments. The self-evaluation process includes reviewing policies and procedures to identify any barriers to participation, engaging with department directors and staff to assess current practices, and gathering input from community members, including individuals with disabilities, to understand their experiences and concerns. I want to request for the commission to be available to provide input once we have collected all of our data internally. It is our goal to have the internal review completed by this fall and make our report available to the commission for comments by the end of the calendar year. Parallel to that programmatic self-evaluation, we will be assessing our buildings, parks, sidewalks, and public features. This physical assessment will be critical in identifying barriers such as inaccessible entrances or restrooms, insufficient signage, and sidewalks and curb ramps not compliant with current ADA standards. A park and park facilities assessment has been completed, and the final draft will be made available to the public later this summer. And though it did not focus on accessibility, it did catalog information that will be included in our transition plan. I'm also currently working with multiple city departments to apply for the Safe Streets for All grant to kick off our assessment with a review of our sidewalks and curb ramps. Our next step will be to propose the assessments for existing city-owned facilities to be included in the fiscal year 2026-2028 biennial budget. Once our self-evaluation and facilities assessment is completed, we will begin updating our transition plan. This plan will prioritize improvements based on the severity of barrier and frequency of use, establish realistic timelines for remediation, assign responsibilities for implementation, and outline funding strategies and potential grant opportunities. We are committed to making this plan both actionable and transparent, and to that end, we will once again ask the Commission to review and provide comments on the draft plan before it is finalized. In closing, accessibility is foundational to equity, and this plan is a step forward for a more inclusive and welcoming community for everyone. We will work not just as a compliance requirement, but as our civic responsibility. Thank you for your time and your ongoing support as we move forward. I'm happy to answer any questions or hear your thoughts.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there are questions. Who would like to go first? Oh, Commissioner Kazmia Dodge.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, the computer.
I'm here. I do have one question. All these, the survey and investigations and analysis of everything is needed. I mean, I've been trying to get a sidewalk repaired for 15 years, totally blocked, and nobody does anything. So how is all this analysis and looking at everything and analyzing it, how is that going to affect getting anything done? One, and I didn't see anything on there about getting feedback from the public. Instead of like trying to figure out, well, does this needed that, and everybody going around trying to figure out what's needed, just ask the public. I can tell you what's needed right down my street. And I'm sure there's something that almost everybody in Santa Monica probably has.
Yeah.
So I would like to see public input into that, and I would like to see a plan that actually, you know, well, let's just say enough plans, how to get something done and work on that.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. And if I can respond to that, definitely we do want public input, and that's part of the reason why I do want to engage with this commission and sort of use this commission as a jumping off platform to engaging with the public. Yes.
Hi, Blake. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you for being here. I have a question. If I understood your pitch, it's going to take approximately 18 to 24 months to get the information notated and written down and distributed, and about 2 years till actual construction or improvements would be taking place? Or did I hear you wrong?
Yes, but I don't want to make it sound as though no improvements will be happening in the meantime. We are doing improvements with sidewalks. I myself, as I explained, have an architecture background. I'm working on projects for improvements in the meantime. This transition plan is one, a requirement that the city has to have, and two, is a way for us to organize our data so that we know what we are dealing with. That way we don't have to rely on the public to make a complaint before we are aware of an issue. So we will be doing projects in the meantime. Concurrently, we will be working on this transition plan, so we have a plan of attack to be able to tackle all of these issues going forward.
Thank you for the clarification.
Of course.
Commissioner Elliott?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Blake. We're glad to have you, and thanks for coming. And a shout out to the commission for all the work we did to get to this point, because having a self-evaluation transition plan updated in 2025 is a big deal. So hopefully we do it as thoroughly and completely as possible on that aggressive timeline. So shout out to us, shout out to Blake. Just a couple recommendations. If the timeline is fall, I'd suggest waiting until after October 12th to do that final save, because then you'll have all the information of the next legislative cycle. And I know there's some assembly bills that may impact. Do all the work, but maybe hold off until October 13th to make sure the governor signed or didn't sign some stuff.
Let me grab my pen really quick.
Yeah. You will have a better sense September 12th, because then no new bills can come through, but the governor can sign bills until October 12th. So I take another pass September 13th and then another pass October 13th based on what we know today. The second piece is there were a lot of changes to the state disability regulations. It's government code 11135. So I just make sure the new plan synchronizes with the updated state requirements so that our plan is up to date and as future-proof as possible. Just we can get through one more legislative cycle in this transition plan and have it sync up with the latest regulations. And then lastly, just make sure there's a digital accessibility piece. And that's something we'll talk to you about. But that's just something we've been talking about and big for the community and us. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And just to clarify too, the actual transition plan will be, a year or two before it gets published. But the findings from our self-evaluation will be finished by the end of this year.
Can you provide a little, I mean, I know you went over the details of a transition plan, but sort of, I tried to follow along with the flow there. So maybe from a high view, you came on and you attacked this, there's a transition plan. So what are you expected to do? And just go over that timeline a little bit more, just so I can get a nice flow.
Yeah, so in general, an ADA coordinator is expected to update and maintain the transition plan. Our city has a very out-of-date transition plan, so effectively we're creating one from scratch, which is why we're doing all of these assessments. We don't have a good database, so that is the main focus for me right now, getting a baseline level. And then once we have all of that information, we'll start looking at budgeting, we'll start looking at how long these projects are going to take, how we can phase them. That way we can go through the entire city and bring everything up to date.
Commissioner Elliott?
Yeah, it's a lot to do it from scratch. So I know, I believe the city of South Pasadena is also in the midst of doing one. So don't recreate as few wheels as possible. Tap into the ADA coordinators network. All of them have surveys you can customize to Santa Monica, but I just say don't recreate every wheel. There's a lot out there, and we can connect and talk about that.
Yes, thank you. And I want to assure you, I'm not completely recreating the wheel when I say starting from scratch. I just mean from an analytical point of the data that we have in the city is out of date.
Does anyone else have any questions? If not, I can just ask a couple questions of my own. So I guess just one comment is that, you know, obviously it, you know, just bringing everything up to the requirement of the ADA is, you know, critical. But then the ADA is also just a minimum standard. And in particular, I think for things like sidewalk widths, you know, it seems to me to be even the ADA standard can be inadequate. In particular, if you have like, as I recall, the, you know, if you have like barriers or pillars or posts in the middle of the sidewalk, you know, there can be portions where it's, you know, allowable for the sidewalk to be less than 3 feet, which is not very wide at all. Is that correct? Or you look like I'm saying something incorrect.
Sorry, I have a horrible poker face. I don't believe it can ever be under 3 feet. Let me double check my sources.
Okay.
But I believe the standard is 4 feet and it can go down to 3 feet.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, when I had looked this up a couple of years ago, I'd seen that like for short segments, you know, it could be under 3 feet, but maybe I'm misremembering.
There's some confusion on the code because there's not really a specific code language. There's more of a standard of practice in this, but
I see.
I will do my due diligence and research, and I definitely want to make sure that, one, we are matching code standards, and two, where we can expand that and go above and beyond, we do that.
Yeah, because there are particular, you know, sidewalks that at least I'm familiar with where I've thought, you know, it would be very difficult to pass through here in a wheelchair, just because the sidewalk itself is not very wide, and then there are like bus signs and bus seats and things like that, and so the actual portion where you can actually navigate through is considerably narrower. And then I also had a question. So obviously this work around kind of the physical infrastructure of the city it's quite a lot of work and important work. But have you been thinking too about, or is there any work around other aspects of accessibility in the city, maybe for our, let's say, our digital infrastructure or anything else?
Yes, so that's getting evaluated through that self-evaluation process that we are in that pilot program phase right now. Once we collect all of the data from the city departments, we'll have an understanding on where we're excelling, where we're falling short of accessibility. And I know you guys have mentioned the website accessibility. That is one thing that has a specific section in the survey that I'm sending out. So I will have a good idea of where we need to improve once we have that data.
Great, thank you very much. Any further questions? Commissioner Casimir Dodge?
Yes, I don't have a question. I do have a comment again along the same lines of the transition and all the service and all the data that the city is engaged in collecting. And for example, the senior and disability and that whole service for 2 years, it just seems to me that the city just every time they want to put something off, they just have another survey, they have another data collection, they have to do this. We have all this information. I looked at the 52 things that they came up with, every single one of them. The Disability Commission and the Senior Commission has come up with in the past and targeted. And now we're waiting years to get all this collection. It's not new stuff, it's the same stuff. We still need the same things. And I would like, so what's going to happen? Oh, it's all going to be this new data collection. It's going to be great. And it's all going to be tech savvy and everything's going to be hunky-dory. Well, whereas nothing is, it doesn't, It doesn't address any of the issues in fact, in real fact. What's to do something right now? We could start with one thing, maybe, one measly thing, without all this data. I'm sorry, I'm tired of it. We need to start doing something, and it does tie into the presentation I wanted to give on the Disability Commission in general and what's going on with it, and the lack of support we get from the city and what we need to do and all that. So, less data collection and action, I think, and it really, and Joe, yeah, the whole thing about, especially disability. Heavens, we know exactly what spaces are, like I said, 16 years and right down my street, the sidewalk is over half blocked. I mean, you can see where I'm coming from. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from.
And just one more comment, kind of in the more action. I mean, sense is, I mean, an elephant is, there's some current rules at the federal level, the current thing with the Department of Energy. So I'd love the city to make a comment on that by Monday, saying they oppose it. Might be wishful thinking, but, there's some concerns that building accessibility rules are going to get rolled back. So I'd love for the city to make a comment in opposition, and make a commitment that even if these rules to roll back things like Section 504 or Title II, that they'll remain with the current standards. Just wanted to get that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm not in the city manager's office, so I don't think I can make a statement on behalf of the city. But I will talk with my contacts there and see what we can do.
Okay, well, thank you very much for giving us this update, and yeah, I hope we can continue working together. And yeah, best of luck with the work.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm sure I will be at many commission meetings going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next item we have is 3B, presentation and discussion related to the services offered by Step Up, from Michael Jens, Director of Philanthropy, and Kyle McCurdy, Director of West Side Services. Thank you very much for being here and talking with us. We're really glad to have you here.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. As so gratefully introduced, my name is Michael Jans. I'm the Director of Philanthropy for Step Up on Second. This is my colleague, Kyle McCurdy. He's the Director of West Side Services. He has a lot of really on-the-ground information about programs, and I would like to give you a quick overview of Step Up in general so that you can direct questions to one or the other from our work from there. So for starters, Step Up is a nonprofit that was founded here in Santa Monica a little over 40 years ago. It was started on 2nd Street, hence the name Step Up on 2nd Street, and was designed to be a drop-in center for individuals experiencing serious mental health conditions. Over the past 4 decades or so, we came to learn very quickly that the experience of mental health conditions is closely intertwined with the experience of homelessness, and that gave birth to our focus on what is known as permanent supportive housing. So our mission at Step Up is to deliver compassionate support to people experiencing serious mental health conditions and persons who are experiencing chronic homelessness to help them recover, stabilize, and integrate into the community. We do this through 3 overall pillars of service. These are permanent supportive housing. Every word in that is incredibly important. It is permanent housing, meaning that it has no time limits. It is supportive, meaning that it has all of the necessary supportive services required for an individual to maintain that housing, whether it be mental health support, whether it be life skills, coaching, transportation, documentation, anything that the individual needs in order to remain stable, we provide that. And it is, of course, housing. It is not a tiny home. They are either an actual studio apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment in one of our permanent supportive housing communities, or in what we call scattered site apartments, which are traditional apartment complexes where we have agreements with the manager to accept whatever voucher one of our members may be using to secure that housing. The second pillar of service we provide is supportive services. This goes to our members who are also not necessarily housed, but are currently in the housing navigation process or are being outreached to, or are members who have their own housing and we are providing them with mental health support, transportation services, life skills coaching, et cetera. The third pillar is community integration. This is where we help our members integrate into the community through education opportunities, employment opportunities, again, connecting with family, volunteer opportunities, anything to help them reintegrate their lives into the community since they've been isolated for so long through the experience of homelessness. Step Up delivers all of its services through what we call the Housing First model. This is a model many of you may be familiar with. The Housing First model stipulates that the most important aspect to providing services is housing. If an individual is suffering from addiction, if an individual is experiencing a severe mental health condition, it's impossible for them to address those if they do not have a safe place to sleep. So housing first means that we lower the barriers to housing as much as possible so that we can get that individual into housing, provide them with the services they need, and address any issues that they would like to address, including addiction, mental health services, and so on. As an overview of what we provide, in California alone, we have 23 supportive housing communities with 1,362 units all told. So there are 16 in LA County. I think 5 of them are in Santa Monica. We have 1 in Orange County, 1 in Riverside, 1 in San Bernardino, and we also work closely with the city of Sacramento to manage 4 motels. All told, we have 2,348 scattered site units throughout Southern California. Last year, or our impact as of right now is as of last year, we housed 5,315 individuals. We outreach to about 12,800 individuals. We have 9,917 individuals enrolled in services. That includes 661 transition-age youth. These are youth between the ages of 18 and 28 aging out of the foster care system who may still need help with housing support, educational support, employment support, things of that nature. 732 veterans, that includes our 3 Veterans Permanent Supportive Housing communities on the VA campus, as well as 2 other motel conversion projects throughout Los Angeles. And we assist 1,222 individuals with a disability that we have records of. We do not require any of our members to disclose their disability status, but these are the ones that have voluntarily disclosed that information to us. In Los Angeles specifically, we engage about 10,151 individuals in outreach. We have 7,266 members enrolled in services and house 4,387 members. As of last year, we were able to house 834 new members within the fiscal year. This is a map of the sites where we operate. Obviously, we have a pretty heavy concentration in the Los Angeles area. We focus a lot of services on Santa Monica, West LA, Culver City, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, West Hollywood. But on top of that, we also operate in Sacramento, Salinas, Inland Empire, and in Georgia, and Nashville, Tennessee. We also provide food pantry services. These are a way for us to ensure that our members do not go hungry. This includes sites on the Step Up on 2nd here in Santa Monica, Step Up on Vine, the buildings 205, 208, and 209 on the VA campus, and our Daniels Place Drop-In Center in West LA, which is a drop-in center for transition-age youth experiencing homelessness. They can come in to get any type of services that include the food pantry, clothing pantry, showers, mental health services, and the like. Right now, over all of our sites, we have about 470 full-time staff that we strive very hard to make sure reflect the community we serve, which means we have about 34% of our staff African-American, 34% Latino, Latina or Latinx, 21% white, and 11% other ethnicities. It's very important for us that since we are providing such vital services, that our staff reflect the communities that they're serving. We have a statement here from one of our transition-age youth who we were able to help. Daniels Place offered a safe place where I could go for hot meals and hot shower, work with a case manager, and use the mental health services. The only word I can think of describe finding Daniels Place is relief, which is exactly the kind of story we at Step Up try to achieve on a day-to-day basis with our members. So I ran through that. That was a sprint through our overview of Step Up. If you do have any questions, I left my contact information here, but I'm going to step to the side for just a second to let Kyle present on our actual services here in West LA.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, commissioners.
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm sorry, I can't see you through the computer monitor. I
Yeah, I
apologize.
just had one question.
Absolutely.
I really was great hearing about all that. I was just wondering, is it like, in the end, will the housing be permanent?
Yes.
Oh,
So,
okay,
so it is,
good.
so
That's
like
all.
I said, when I
That's
say
what
permanent
wanted.
supportive housing, we 100% mean every word. As an example, our first permanent supportive housing location was Step Up on Second. I believe there's about 20 some odd units in that building. We still have members in that structure who were housed in the 90s when we opened it. So the idea is that it's permanent as long as necessary. Now, we do have some members who graduate, that does happen, move on to more independent living situations, move back in with family, but that is not an expectation on our end. Our expectation is to house them for as long as is necessary.
Let's maybe just hold off on any other questions until the end. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, hi commissioners. I'm just going to talk a little bit more in depth of the services that we provide through Step Up in Santa Monica and in West LA.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think the mic's engaged. The light's on, but it doesn't sound like
Sure.
it's connecting.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay now?
No,
No.
Not really.
Okay.
no.
Can I play lower? Huh?
I think the wiring.
Oh, maybe just louder. I just raised my voice. It's okay. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about the services we provide in Santa Monica and West LA, just a little bit more in depth from what Michael was talking about. Starting with our mental health services, we are a field-based program, so we're contracted through the Department of Mental Health, and we provide, what's listed on the slide is therapy, case management, medication support, occupational therapy, community integration services, which is employment, education, volunteer support, right? So getting folks back into the community, and money management support. So that can be help with like budgeting. We can be a payee for folks who have SSI. Our program is really designed to go out instead of meeting in the office. We can meet at people's homes, parks, coffee shops, wherever, right? Just really trying to eliminate barriers to services. We have psychiatrists, nurses. Our psychiatrist is the only person that doesn't go in the field, but our nurses go out, they can give medication. Yeah, our therapists, our case managers, all meet folks wherever they're at. Michael touched on the permanent supportive housing too, but in Santa Monica alone, we have 5. So we have Step Up on 2nd, Step Up on Colorado, Step Up on 5th, Step Up on 26th, and Daniels Village. Daniels Village is our transition age youth housing site. All of these sites have on-site services attached with them. So our intensive case management teams work with folks to maintain their housing. That might be through, especially when they first move in, it might be helping make sure they're paying rent on time. Might be teaching them like any skills they need to maintain their unit, if that's cleaning, if that's budgeting, whatever they need, they're there to support with that. And sometimes we'll see that, when folks move in, they might have some like issues that happen overnight, over the weekend. So it's nice that they're there. They can just kind of intervene as needed. We also have our pantry at Step Up on 2nd. It's open Tuesday through Thursday for our members specifically, but Friday it is open to the community. Friday is when we have fresh foods, so we get donations from the food bank, we get food from Trader Joe's. Friday tends to be pretty popular with the community, so if folks were interested, that is open from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. The line does tend to start pretty early, so we'll always tell folks if you're interested, go like 9 or 10, and usually you'll see people lined up already for that. And then just kind of last thing with that too, our ICMS team, our intensive case management services, work alongside our mental health providers too. So they're kind of working and providing services to the folks that live there. Mental health services are usually optional, but the ICMS tend to be there for everybody that needs them. And then just going to plug Daniel's Place. It's not in Santa Monica, but it is in West LA, and it's just a resource for young adults in the area. Daniel's Place once was in Santa Monica off of 17th and Santa Monica Boulevard. We moved a few years ago, just when the lease was up, and it's been around for over 20 years at this point. Like Michael said, there's a lot of resources that come with it: showers, laundry, It's ran by our peer specialists, so people with shared experiences, and they are there just every day just to make sure that folks coming in get the support they need. There's a clothing closet, some case management, housing assistance. We are also partnered with mental health advocacy services for some legal support. So we have a lawyer on site on Tuesdays. There's a computer lab, so computer access for anyone coming in. A food pantry, and we have a kitchen as well, so people can come in and cook food from the food we have, or they can bring in their own food, whether that's from GR, from working, and just buying stuff and bringing stuff in. Yeah, that's kind of a gist of the services that we offer. For Daniel's Place, it's a walk-in basis. Nobody needs a referral. People can just come in. We're open 9 to 5, Monday through Fridays. For mental health services, the best way to get a referral is through the DMA, or to just call the number there, the 310-394-6889. That's going to get you directly to our Santa Monica location. They can let the receptionist know they're interested, and that would come over to our mental health team. The Daniel's Place phone number there is there as well. Again, that takes you directly to that site. And then if someone was interested in the pantry, they could email foodassistance@stepup.org to be connected to them as well. The on-site case management services are just specific to those buildings that we have, so there's no referrals for that, but if someone did move in, they would have access to that. My contact information is there as well, so if anybody has, again, kind of like follow-up questions or wants to refer somebody, I'm more than happy to, connect you with somebody, the right department, or answer the questions or whatever that may be, so.
Yeah, thank you very much. I imagine we have some questions. Maybe Commissioner Gordon, you want to?
Yeah,
Pick it up.
I do have a curiosity question. On the page on this other page of the referrals, is that Step Up on Second by Chelsea?
Yeah, that's this one, right?
Yeah.
That's Step Up on 5th.
Okay, I thought, no,
So that's on
it
5th
didn't look like
Street.
the one that was Step Up on Second.
Yeah.
That's Step Up on Fifth, okay.
Why did you guys stop your feeding program?
Yeah.
It was so popular.
It was.
It was the only place. Was this the city council shut you down?
No, the reason for that, it was just like funding. There a lot of
But
fun-
the food came from the LA Food Bank.
Yeah, so we get a lot of food from the food bank, but the everything that comes with that, so keeping the kitchen open, there's like inspections with that. We still had to supplement the food from the food bank with added food. A lot of funding was getting cut from like our different sources. So unfortunately, it was something we just had to make that decision to do and shift into a way that we could still provide meals in another way. So that's where the pantries came from.
Can you guys, I volunteer there. So I know Todd Lipka. I remember Barbara Hold. I don't know if she's still there.
No.
I need a contact person because on my way to this meeting, I'm part of the Lights Up program at the Geffen Playhouse. And I've supplied you guys with thousands and thousands of dollars worth of free tickets. And I locked horns with Barbara Hold over HIPAA regulations, when all that's required is for someone to sign up, show up, have a bus token, because you mentioned transportation, to Westwood and back. I make sure to get matinee tickets, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. And of course, from one nonprofit to the next, all that was asked was their first name and what they liked about the play and what they didn't like. That was it. And I didn't see how that violated HIPAA regulations.
Yeah. Okay, so as part of the philanthropy department, I handle volunteerism at Step Up, and you are correct that asking a small survey of a member who went to a play would not be a violation of HIPAA, but asking for their name, unfortunately, is. And so that is something we have to work with. We try our best to navigate that, but anything that asks for personal information from a member is a violation of HIPAA regulations because of the fact that we're providing healthcare. Now, we're not providing, obviously, full healthcare, but mental health is healthcare in a lot of ways and is regulated the same way through our contracts. So it is something we have to be very careful when we navigate. Any personal information of our members has to be kept confidential, and they have to, any sort of consent that they give out has to be protected. So consent forms for photographs, for example, we had a photograph in here of a couple members. There was a pretty long process to get that approved and allowed, because it's just something we have to be very, very careful of, and we take our members' privacy very, very seriously. So I do apologize for that frustration. I can feel it. It's something in my department. I have a lot of people who would like to volunteer, who would like to do things, who would like to help us out, and we just often don't have capacity for that because of these regulations.
Commissioner Elliott?
Thanks for coming, just and telling us what's going on in the community. Greatly appreciate it, and would love to have you back whenever some we should know about. So thanks for being here. I actually work for the Department of Mental Health, but I'm here as a commissioner. But I just encourage to closely follow the Behavioral Health Services Act. Module 2 just came out. Module 3, they just have a draft. And because, in a year or 13 months, your BHSA funding channels are going to change. So just be on top of that, see how what you're doing now can fit in the new buckets. There's community events within the department, so engage with those. There's SALT 5, Service Area 5 meetings, cultural community meetings, and then there's 2 meetings a month just talking about the BHSA, and it's all on the website on the MHSA. So just monitor that at a minimum, because I want to make sure as much of whatever's working fits into July 1. So just wanted to give that plug and appreciate if you come back and keep us posted on what's going on.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, and that's something, all the changes in the political landscape right now are something we're all following very, very closely. As of right now, we're lucky to say we haven't been directly impacted, but as you were pointing out, it's very likely to happen in the future. So we are keeping an eye on that. So thank you for the heads up and the resources.
So I'm sorry. Does the city help you at all, like City of Santa Monica and the other cities help you with the grants or upcoming, anything financial?
I do. Yeah. So yeah, actually, we have, our major contracts are through DBH and DMH, so that provides the lion's share of funding. But in the cities, the jurisdictions that we operate within, we do typically have contracts with those cities. Grants, yes, those are applied for on an as-needed basis as we align with funding priorities. But for example, we have outreach contracts that are through the city, and that includes, Santa Monica. It also includes Beverly Hills. It includes Pasadena. These kind of places where we do more direct outreach to individuals experiencing homelessness on the streets on a person-to-person basis. And then also there's funding through other avenues from the city, generally in the form of service contracts, but grants as well.
And then anyone can attend not anyone, but whoever needs it can attend the clinic, like mental health clinics in some way, if they're not even residing in that area?
The drop-in services, yes. Yeah. And we only have 2 drop-in locations right now, so Step Up on 2nd and Daniels Place. So yes, for the drop-in services. Other services do usually require a referral, which usually requires, that's what our outreach is mostly focused on, is getting individuals connected to the continuum of care, so that from the continuum of care, we can kind of move through. It's a bureaucratic mess. I understand that. It's slow moving and it's frustrating, but that is the sort of way we have to move through it.
And then for about your housing, is there a waiting list, or
yes.
Are you at the capacity?
Yes.
Yeah,
of course.
The housing's all matched, especially our Santa Monica housing all comes through. One location is through DHS. The rest are matched through the Santa Monica Housing Authority. Okay. So all of our referrals get funneled through there.
If I could maybe ask a couple of follow-up questions here. I was just curious if you could give a very coarse breakdown of your funding sources, like how much of it is coming from, the county versus private sources.
Sure, absolutely. So we strive for 10% of our operating budget to be philanthropically raised. That is very difficult, as you might imagine. We're a $64 million nonprofit at this moment. So that's $6.4 million in grants.
6.4?
As that we raised.
No, to be raised. That's that's 10%
Ten.
of a $64 million budget. It's quite difficult. We achieve it. We try our hardest, but it is a lot of effort on our part for that. Then the other 90%, 85, 90%, depending on the year, is through service contracts. Now, there is a small portion of that is fee for service, a very small portion. We are moving out of the property management space at this moment, but we did do property management of our sites for several decades. And so, of course, a little fee for service would come through the housing vouchers. Members are required to pay a certain amount of their income towards the rent, and the voucher covers the rest of that. So we would have been collecting that. But that is a dwindling resource that it wasn't really impactful for us anyhow. And so we're moving away from that.
What's going on with Shelter Plus Care?
Shelter.
Are they eliminating that?
I don't know if I can answer that fully right now. I feel like it's shifted to something like a different program name. I'm not fully aware. I know there's a lot of shifts with LASA going on right now too, so I'm not exactly sure kind of where they're at with it right now.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, totally fine. But I was to say, just to finish that off, about 85 to 90% is service contracts. The lion's share of those are DMH and DBH. But then, of course, there is a bit of it that is VASH funding. A bit of it is DBH-DD in Georgia.
DMH and DDH.
Yeah, sorry, tons of acronyms. I understand. I understand that. But these are government agencies. A lot of it's pass-through funding. So there's quite a few agencies that fund us, and it's pass-through funding from HUD through the agency to us. But HUD also does directly fund us with several service contracts. I would have a hard time breaking that down by percentage right now. But suffice to say, 85 to 90% of our funding is through service contracts, either at the local, county, state, or federal level.
Is there a
Yeah, it's helpful. Thank you.
Go ahead,
So,
Joe.
I was just,
I have two questions for you. In Santa Monica, there's several NGOs that do similar things that you do. St. Joseph's, People's Concern. Is there competition between you all
No.
for these service contracts? No.
No, I mean, for several reasons. First off, competition is sort of antithetical to the nonprofit space, not really how we operate. But also, we're focused on a niche population within the individuals experiencing homelessness. There is a homeless population in Los Angeles. About 10%, maybe 15% are experiencing chronic homelessness. These are individuals who are...
Could you define that?
Yeah, so HUD defines it as an individual who's been
Over a
experiencing
year?
homelessness for more than a year or 3 or more consecutive times within a 2-year span. So it's an individual who is not recently homeless, is not an individual who is in housing insecure, but is rather currently living on the streets for a long period of time. And then on top of that, we focus on individuals who are currently experiencing a serious mental health condition. So that's usually diagnosable, but that's, we can get them connected to the health professionals needed to secure a diagnosis. But that's the population we focus on. It's specifically the most resistant to care population. So we're not competing with People's Concern, because People Concern generally is helping the homeless population in general. They serve families. We do not serve families in Los Angeles. They have the infrastructure and the capacity to help children. We do not. We're focused on 18 and above. So there really is kind of they find their niche.
The reason I ask is I have someone that I've known for many years who is a member at Step Up, who found himself disoriented coming out of 16th Street, UCLA, picked up by a van. I don't know why he got on it, but he ended up out in Lancaster with a group called HOLA. Have you heard of them?
No, I'm not.
Who
Ola, like Ola?
came after his benefits, came out, and he's still trying to recertify himself back with Step Up when, he couldn't give me a good reason why he stayed so long, but they weren't offering him a way home.
I mean, unfortunately, the homeless population is incredibly vulnerable.
Right.
And this goes for all individuals experiencing homelessness. I mean, doubly so for unaccompanied women, doubly so for seniors. But all individuals experiencing homelessness are incredibly vulnerable. And however much I wish we could, Step Up cannot stop that from happening. We can only, do our best with the people who we have.
Of course.
And then that is, as a tragic story, I wish I had a better response other than just to express sympathy, because it's so difficult to address every single one, especially when there are 70,000 individuals experiencing homelessness in LA County at minimum on any given night. So
But I hope that
yeah.
this
That's
was
low estimate.
reported.
that's a severe undercount, but that's, yeah.
But if you hear those things, or if anyone is affected, you guys report it?
I'm sorry. could you-
Someone is picked up, and if you know one of the individual that lives in these
You would
units,
probably have to go to the police department.
Yeah, do we,
file a
yeah, the
complaint.
reporting.
yeah,
is really
we are
important.
not able to sort of report those things unless if we know of, say, an abduction. Yes, we are mandated to report that. If we know of a crime that is being committed or occurring, yes, we are. But things that happen to our members outside of us being present, things that are personal choices they make, we unfortunately, our hands are tied in that regard.
And you say you're getting out of property management.
Just literally just managing the properties themselves. We still provide the services on the property. We still provide the housing navigation. We still help the members secure the vouchers. We still connect them to the housing. It's just that for the last several decades, Step Up owned and operated and managed property, and that's become something that's not our field of expertise. It's not something we really need to be doing, and so we
I've
can
read
provide
about it.
better service without that.
So is it deed restricted? Do you own the property and then you actually physically own the properties?
We did several, and we still own a couple, but some of them
Like
are,
the one on Fifth and?
yeah, like the one I believe,
And
do we
the
own that?
Kaufman?
Yep.
We,
like-
we own Fifth. We also own Colorado, but those are two examples where we have an outside agency that does property management.
Right.
So like Step Up on Second and our Step Up on Sixth and Daniels Village, those will also be getting like a new company is going to come in and do the property.
But you're
management.
still the landlord, you're the property, and then it's like they're like management companies that.
Yes.
And then, my understanding is, they finally caught up to LASA. And, okay, and, they are stripping their funds. I wonder if there's any possibility you'd be able to get, the LASA money. And I actually like that. LASA has been hugely problematic. I'm glad that, LA City Council is finally taking care of them. Because I quite frankly think they're very corrupt and they're too big. And then that you guys would get a chunk of that. I mean, I don't know how, if philanthropy, you do fundraising or
I do fundraising, also marketing, presentations. I do a lot of PR.
it'd be great if you could get, even, 10 million of that LASA money. I mean, they're worth, it's several $100 million.
Yeah, that would be completely up to the county how that works. I don't want to speak to that because how we do contract negotiations with the county and with the city are above my pay grade. I'm not gonna lie.
That lawyers, I just thought that I might suggest that.
Oh, it would be amazing too, because you are quite right. LASA, the whole issue with LASA has been very problematic.
Yeah.
For us, for a lot of homeless services agencies, and so we are hopeful that will be smoothed over and that we can have a positive outcome in the near future.
Because that's what I think would be more effective instead of it being to have chunks of this money go to you guys and then maybe the other ones that URM and maybe people concerned or, but I think it'd be split up that you guys would get all those and then also as far as job search, I think that the one in Culver City, do you have any kind of job training specialists there? Are you going to be setting that up? Are you going to have, I thought you had one at Step Up in Second before COVID.
Yeah, so we did have a job training program. That also was something that just funding was like cut, and that was something we had to.
Is
look at
that
as
peer
well.
advocacy
No,
done by WCIL? Is that, do you have peer advocates
We
there?
still have peer advocates. The program.
But you used to train them.
Or they would sit down and do resumes and help
an internship.
apply
We
for.
used to do like janitorial internships. There was the kitchen when it was open; they could intern
Right.
there, stuff like that. We don't have that anymore, unfortunately. We do support with like employment assistance. So if that's like job readiness stuff, building resumes, preparing for interviews.
How, this is an important question for me. How do your members transition from state and federal benefits to employment? Because that's a tricky tale. to accomplish, as I'm sure you two are aware. You know, once a year, the city, the VA, everybody wants to know where every little penny is for a member, you know, that's on the voucher, living in Section 8. So,
Yeah, I think it just depends on each member we're working with, right? Some members it's gonna take a lot longer to get them to a place where they can work. Some members that are coming in are ready to go, right? So we're helping them get back on their feet, and then they're ready to kind of jump into it and find employment. But others, yeah, it can definitely take a lot longer, and some also may not be able to work at some point either.
right.
But that's where like some of like maybe volunteer work or community work can be really important.
Just a quick question, or just a quick comment. I'm a social worker as well, and I've actually worked for OPCC and have gotten people housed into units. But aside from that, just thinking about the concerns of people with disability, I'd just like to give a plug. Like ADA Pacific has some great resources on their website, especially around effective communication. That's a challenge in clinical services for people with disabilities. They have a great lunch and learn series, effective communication in healthcare. It's free. So that's a good use of 45 minutes of your executive's time, your clinician's time, whatever. Sometimes you have those days off. I'd give a plug for that. Another plug, kind of to our vice chair's comment, the Cal Able program. If you're managing finances, the eligibility age goes up to 46 next year, so people can put $10,000 in a Cal Able account. So that's a way that they can still remain eligible for other things and work. So I would check those two things out. And just
What was the first one? I'm sorry. to
ADA
interrupt.
Pacific region, they have good resources, and then Cal Able is a financial program. And then third, just something to be mindful with the continuum of care. And sometimes people with disabilities don't disclose their disabilities, and therefore they get a lower vulnerability index score, so then they don't move across the continuum. So just encouraging clinical practice to build that rapport so they're able to articulate their needs and move across the continuum as fast as possible within the constraints of a bureaucracy. I'll leave it at that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, appreciate that. Thank you for that comment. I just want to jump on real quick to say that data collection has been a big focus of mine and my team's for a long time. Step Up is working on being better about that, and that's why I had to sort of caveat that this is how many disabled individuals we know we're serving, but we know that's a larger number because not everybody has disclosed that. So to your point, we are very aware of that, and it's something we're trying to train our clinicians, train our outreach specialists, and gather that data so we know we're doing a better job of that. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Commissioner Royale?
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very nice. So I have a question regarding numbers you provided on page 6 and 7. For example, it's like you're saying like more than 5,000 members housed. It's like since when?
So that is a really excellent question and a really hard data point to pin down, because we know we have the ability right now in our data collection workflows to figure out how many people we are currently housing. And we have visibility into how many people were housed in the last fiscal year, new members that we housed. We don't have visibility yet into how long each individual member has been housed. It's something we're working on, but as a 40-year-old agency that grew from one little spot in Santa Monica to a couple spots around LA to 20 locations around the entire country in a matter of like 5 to 10 years, our infrastructure inside is growing along with that. So thank you for bringing that up. It's a point we're trying to sort of pin down. But we just don't have visibility into that yet in our database.
And also, I see the number, almost 10,000 enrolled in the services.
That was, yeah.
It's
that one,
yeah.
Oh, no.
It's
No,
kind of
also-
like that's the people who need housing and they are waiting, or it's just like in general.
In general. So we provide permanent supportive housing as one pillar and supportive services as another pillar. So there is a large chunk of members that we are working with who are either housed in another location, are temporarily housed, or are currently experiencing homelessness, but are receiving services, are enrolled in our services. So that is that number. It includes all of the housed, everybody we have currently housed, but it also includes all the individuals who are enrolled not yet housed or housed in another way that we're still providing services to.
Also, I see that you separated disabled individuals number. So, and I would like to ask you, do you prioritize?
Prioritize.
Thank you. When you're providing housing or service to people with disability, or they just kind of like have to be on a line with everybody else?
Yeah, no, there are specific units set aside for people who have disabilities. So it just depends like what those units offer, right? And so yeah, like not all of them are going to be maybe like wheelchair accessible or things like that. So but there are specific housing units that are set aside for people who are disabled.
Guys, what do you think? How many people need service today? Like numbers? Do you have some idea? Like, for example, who enrolled already in your services? Do you have any idea how many of them need to be housed? I just like wondering to see how good or how bad the situation is with housing.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I'd like to probably figure that out. We don't know. Like I can say, for example, if we're housing 5,300 individuals and we have 9,000 individuals or 9,900 enrolled, that is about a 4,000 difference. And so that would assume there's a 4,000 individuals who need housing. Now,
Are you all using the same some type of software?
No, we are not.
Avoid
No, we are not.
duplicate services?
No, we are not.
not.
No, we are not. And that is because of the service contracts in each specific region, we have to use the database that is approved for that contract. So we are only allowed to use a certain database in Georgia. We have to use a different database in San Bernardino. We have to use a different database here in Los Angeles. It is unfortunately very frustrating, but yes, that is an issue we have to work through. But to return to your point here, I don't think that 4,000 is an accurate number. I think it's much lower than that because, again, a lot of our members would be housed in other ways, would not currently need housing support, have graduated from permanent supportive housing, live with family members now. There's a lot of situations depending on each member, but that would be like a rough estimate, just minusing the two numbers.
Did you shut down your Hollywood location?
No.
It's still open. Yeah. So we have our Step Up on Vine, which is a housing site, and then we also have Step Up on Lexington, which is our just services site. So our mental health program, our DHS programs operated out of there. So yeah, they're both there.
I'm dating myself, but I remember Mark.
Yeah, Mark is still
Mark's still here
with the agency. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And if I could maybe add one follow-up question to Commissioner Royale's question. I was curious if you track currently or are planning to track like the turnover rate in your housing, and when people leave, is it moving more towards independent living or maybe like falling back out onto the streets?
Yeah. So we do track that to a certain degree. I wouldn't say it's a straight turnover, but we track what's called retention rate, and that's the number of individuals who retain their housing after the first year of being housed. So that, as it's kind of well known within the homeless services sector, that first year is the most difficult, and that's when most individuals will return to homelessness. So if we can keep them housed for a year, their chances of remaining housed skyrocket. And so we track that first year very closely. Right now we have about a 95% retention rate. And that is throughout all agencies, all locations, excuse me. It is a little bit higher in other places, and it is a little bit lower in some, but it comes up to a 95 for the entire agency. Here in Santa Monica, I think it's a little bit on the higher side. We're more towards 96, 97%.
Thank you. And Commissioner Rao, I think you had a
No, I'd
follow-up
just like to
question.
say thank you very much.
Commissioner Adeyemi,
Thank you guys for coming this evening.
Your mic.
your mic is off.
Okay, it's on now. The question that I have is that you guys have 40 years in service, right? That's commendable. And among the things you deal with is housing first, and then community integration, and then employment. What's your frustration when you house somebody and they are resistant to care? You mentioned resistance to care. What do you do with that?
Yeah.
I have an answer if you want.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure, that's okay. I really enjoy this question for me personally because I get this quite a lot. We do the housing first model, which means we're really mostly concerned with housing. That's if we can get an individual into housing, that we've just broken down so many barriers. And many individuals who are resistant to care are resistant to care on the outreach level. And this is completely understandable if you work with the population a little bit. There's been a lot of promises made and they've been broken. There's been a lot of violence inflicted by law enforcement. There's been a lot of dehumanization from general population. So the individual experiencing homelessness has every reason not to trust an outreach worker. Step Up then goes to that individual and works very hard to build a rapport so that they can trust us, so we can move them through that continuum of care and we can get them into housing. But that's our first goal. Everything else, all the stuff we talked about, community integration, mental health services, addiction support, that is all secondary. And it is completely up to the member if and when they want to engage with those services. It's completely at their discretion. We just want to see them permanently housed safely and securely and with access to all the services they need to maintain that housing. What we have found is that once you do that, the vast majority of members are more than willing, they want to engage in addiction services, or they want to get reconnected with their family, or they want to find meaningful employment. It's really hard to have that goal if you don't know what you're going to eat tomorrow and if you don't know where you're going to sleep tonight. So that's how we do it. We attack the housing first, and then everything else kind of comes along.
Thank you. Would you say the rate of recidivism is reduced by treatment and the way community and the police view these individuals?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Would you say the rate of recidivism, failure, is driven or reduced by the way the police attack these people, this population, or the way the community treat them?
Yes. I really don't want to push politics. I think the way that our society treats the homeless population is a tragedy. And I think that a lot of the issues within the population and that the general population experience from the homeless population is directly because of the way we, as a society, treat individuals experiencing homelessness. Yeah.
Commissioner Royale?
Couple more questions. How long it's approximately can take from a person signing up for your service up to the moment they housed? So is that like a year, 2 year?
Yeah, it ranges. I generally tell people when we first start working with them, give us at least a year. It really depends on availability, vouchers.
And vouchers,
Yeah,
if they still issuing them now?
It's been a minute, but again, like LASA's kind of, things are confusing right now. So we're still kind of
Because of LASA?
Yeah, because they're handling like the matching and things like that. But we are still outreaching, getting people document ready. That's like one of our programs. So there are still like things moving. It's just, things are a little different. For our Santa Monica locations though, it is because it is matched through the Santa Monica Housing Authority. We are still like moving people in when there's vacancies. Also, like sometimes like when we start working with people, sometimes people take a little bit, like Michael was talking about the relationships we have to build with people, especially if they're on the streets or if they've been in a shelter for a long time or whatever it is. We might be building that relationship for a few years before they're ready to move into housing. And that's like their choice, right? Like we might be kind of like pushing it or wanting it, but they may not be ready for it, and that's okay. And we're going to continue working with them.
Am I correct? Am I correct when San Michelle, formerly whatever it's called now, that's a shared, those beds are allotted to different agencies, aren't they? Or that's how it used to be anyway?
I'm not too sure. I know we have had people housed there. We normally refer them through the Department of Mental Health. That's how we kind of get our folks into there. But there's different avenues in. I'm not sure what their bed reservation is for agencies and things like that.
Yeah, I had two questions. So as far as I was still confused about the job, maybe not job training, but job prep. Is that at the Culver City location?
Yeah, so that's more just like job readiness, right? Not on-site trainings, so it's
No, not like a culinary program.
right. It's just meeting with someone to. We have our clothing closet, so it might be getting clothes, getting ready for the interview,
But I mean, job search,
job search. It can be helping with that too.
resume.
Yeah. all
You
that.
still have that there?
Yeah.
Or you were going to set that up?
Yeah, no, we have that there. We have a community integration specialist. That's like the title we have for our case.
Do you have
manager
one or
focuses
several?
on
A
that.
community integration specialist?
Yeah, we just have one, but all of our case managers can do that work. We just have one that kind of focuses on it.
I want to put that's at Daniel's Place. At Daniel's Place, there is one, but there are multiple locations, and there are community integration specialists at like Lexington office or at Step Up on Second. So, but at Daniel's Place, there is currently one.
So Step Up, oh, so you have computers at Step Up in Second now, where they can do resumes and job search?
No, we don't have computers there. We do have staff who have laptops that they can use with staff, and they
But
also
I mean, something
library
that's
things.
together where they have like a computer room.
Yeah, no, we're limited on computer labs right now. It's something we'd love to get more
so you
funding
don't
for.
have the-
We'd love that, awesome, but we only have it at Daniel's Place, 209.
You have a computer room where they can at Daniel's Place?
Yes. We do.
Where people could sit down and they would help them learn how to search like on Indeed
Have
and.
you guys hit up Dell?
Yes,
Yeah.
we have.
Like, and resume.
But we do have that computer lab at Daniel's Place at the
That-
Culver City location. Yeah,
Okay, and the person's a community,
integration specialist.
and it's just one there?
Yeah, at that assigned to that location. Yes.
Well, what's the name of that person?
Sorry, we just hired her, so I'm
Oh.
trying to think of her name. Yeah, we hadn't. Yeah, I won't go into it. But yeah, we had
No,
somebody else.
I
We had somebody else who's still there, just on medical leave. So we're
Right.
bringing someone in because it's been a little bit. So yeah.
but that would be job search and.
Commissioner Elliott had a question.
Just a comment, maybe a good career option or part of that program could be the Medi-Cal Peer Support Specialist certification. Some of our strongest peer support specialists have the lived experience, and that's could be, a North Star while they're in the program as a real career, with benefits. So just want to give a plug as maybe connecting folks to that peer support specialist. It's often a free certification if they meet income requirements, so that could be a path for that program.
Yeah, we have like several peers like within the agency, and yeah, actually a lot of our members are at Daniel's Place who have gotten housed, and a lot of them have been referred to that program. Like Share is a great place to refer them to. I know Painted Brain, right? So yeah, and we do some
Painted Brain?
internships too, like for people that are getting their hours.
That's what it's called?
Yeah, Painted Brain's another nonprofit who provides like technology classes and
Painted Brain.
Painted Brain, yes.
Where's that?
They're here in Santa Monica.
Yeah, no, they moved.
Oh, no.
Not too long ago. I don't know exactly where they are now, but they're they're LA based. I just don't know their specific region at the moment.
Painted Brain.
Okay, well, thank you for being so generous with your time and answering all of our
Sorry to ask
multitude
you
of
so many
questions.
questions.
No, because thank you for,
Yeah,
being
this is very helpful.
very, solicit. Oh, I just have one more question.
Sure.
I'm curious how did you guys end up, you have California, but I'm just curious how you guys ended up, in the Southeast, Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida.
Yeah,
How did that work out?
absolutely. So our CEO, Todd Lipka, he's very much an advocate for the housing first model. He's very much an advocate for permanent supportive housing, and he's a huge advocate for our motel conversion model that we've been using for the last 15 years or so to rapidly scale permanent supportive housing in communities. Based on that, we were invited to those communities actually.
To those states, really?
Yeah, so the DBHDD in Georgia invited us to come take on the contract and provide scattered site housing and supportive services to their homeless population. Same thing in Tennessee. And then, yeah, so the map is a little old. We're in Florida for a little bit. We are still providing housing support there, but we're moving out of the state right now. Just some shifts in priorities for the state. And yeah, again, not going to go into politics. So,
No, I just thought it was
so-
interesting that you're California, all of a sudden you're in the South.
well,
If that, you know,
Yeah,
how does
yeah.
that work out?
the fact of the matter is that there is a huge homelessness crisis in Southern California, and we have proven that our model is effective at helping individuals experiencing homelessness become housed and stay housed.
Yeah, but how'd they find out about you?
Like I said, our CEO Todd is just really good at spreading the word.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and so he's made connections through different conferences, mayoral conferences, things of that
Oh.
nature.
He's a networker.
He's a networker, exactly. We presented at the Clinton Foundation a couple of times, things like that, and just gotten a lot of support. And we were able to move to those municipalities, set up programs, and start impacting lives there.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
This was
you.
really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great.
So now we have to get to business, the consent calendar. So we will have to make an amendment to this. So I'll move that we change the date on this from March 14th to May 14th.
I second.
Let me just double check, verify that that was the correct date. Yes, May 14th. Okay. All in favor?
I
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. Next up, we have, oh, sorry, I think we then need to actually vote to adopt it. So I move that we adopt the amended minutes from the May meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Next item we have is public input on remaining agenda items. Are there any members of the public who have input? Yep, we have one. So please step up to the podium and you will have 2 minutes from the time that you start speaking.
We have a fan.
Oh, I forgot to get their business card.
Hello, my name's Harvey Etter. I lived at Step Up for the last 3.5 years, and they drilled my door and kicked me out with the sheriffs on the 17th of April. It was illegal lockout. They had no papers. I've been trying to buy a card there and a key for 2 years. Every night I've been locked out. It's dangerous out there. You got all kinds of crazy people. What they're talking is bull, basically. All right. I've been going out there 30 years since the Rodney King riots. They're being sued by Bonta for $114 million for abusing homeless money and putting a cloud for 5 years over $50 billion spent in the state. All right. Them and the Shangri-La. All right. Okay, that's serious. I'm incorporating by reference that 320-page lawsuit, Department of Community Development in several cities. It should be all cities as well. Okay, we've been going and reporting this, and we went to legal aid, and they said, there's an illegal lockout, go to the city, talk to the watch commander. 3 years, I've been involved with litigation, head of a tenants organization. We want to buy the building. Permanent means we own it. That's what it means. We're members of the community. Enough of this stuff. This is outrageous. We should have more time, and you should listen to what we got to say, because there's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's a bunch of crap. All right? So I got 30 seconds. I'm real upset. They threw away all my stuff, including close to a 15,000-page workers' comp file from Alaska and down here, the only copy around. And then they said there was 15 pages. They lied. They told this guy, the housing guy, Alex with the city, that they gave me opportunity to take stuff out. I had a cart with stuff in it, and it was a lie, and it's outrageous. So they're going to be sued, and y'all. And the city of Santa Monica police, and they said we couldn't file. 3 times they robbed us and threw a real product and legal documents out. And I wanted to file criminally, and they said we couldn't. I said, they said you got a conflict of interest. We brought this to council, we've been talking to council and different commissions for the last 2 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey.
So next we have Section 9, staff administrative items. First up is reports from ad hoc committees and liaisons and discussions, possible actions on reestablishing or establishing additional ones. First one is the ad hoc committee on AI opportunities and risks. We have a couple more resources from Commissioner Elliott.
Yeah, I'll be quick. 1, 2, and 3 are similar. Again, Joe Devon, who has come and present to this commission and is one of the founders of GAD, Global Accessibility Awareness Day. He put out a tool that evaluates large language models and how they generate accessible code. It's very exciting. It's the first person to kind of do this. So I just shared the tool, how to get it, in the press release about it, because one of our concerns is just the accessibility of AI. So knowing how well our most popular models are writing code that's accessible is a big step in where we need to go. So I just wanted to share that with us in the community because this is a big topic. And we just wanted to give a plug for Joe and all the great work he's doing, Joe Devon. 4, just as part of Global Accessibility Awareness Day, the big companies all put out press releases on what accessibility features are coming out over the next year. So I just shared one from 3 of the biggest ones, one from Apple, one from Google, and one from Microsoft, where they just kind of give you a little blueprint of what's coming up. There's a lot of stuff, accessibility features on the iPhone that are coming out. There's a lot of stuff on the Android phone and a lot of stuff in Windows to better control with your voice, your adaptive switches, your eye gaze, and even you can connect with your phone pretty soon with a brain-computer interface. So, yeah, just want to get the community and us one click away from this with all, so that's the purpose. Until we get our own website to just share some cool stuff. Thanks.
And then next we have the Local Aging and Disability Strategic Planning Ad Hoc. I don't know, Commissioner Adeyemi or Vice Chair Sussman, if you have an update on this.
Yes, indeed. For now,
Yeah, could you turn your mic on, please?
Okay, thank you. So that the main domains of the Senior Action Plan, as outlined by the AARP when we started this program, was the outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation, housing, social participation, respect and social inclusion, work and civic engagement, communication and information, and community and health services. And I think all these models were met by the end of last meeting. And for now, the meeting is suspended at the conclusion of the survey. And what I put out in that survey, my main concern is the transportation, how seniors access transportation getting from place to place. If you go to a bus stop, you find some homeless person sitting on that bench or lying down on that bench. And you find an 80-year-old, 90-year-old person standing. So I don't see how this makes livability transportation accessible. And then my other main area is communication, which Alex is dealing with. And he's doing very well on that, in that sphere. So I let him handle that. And then, of course, security. Security is very important to seniors. Can you imagine during the fire? We don't have a database that says somebody on wheelchair lives in this building or that building, or they're upstairs. How do you get them down? There's no such database. So I think having such database is very important to safety of our seniors in this city for the future, for now and for the future. So for now, this is what I have.
I have a response to that.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone's familiar with, I'm a member of Access Paratransit, and I want to thank Suleiman because he's been picking up the slack. I've been experiencing some health issues, as everyone's already aware. So I hope to work closer and more often with you. And I'd like to attend Human Services. What's going on with Human Services? Are they transforming into a different name or something? Because I read somewhere they only meet 4 times a year. Is that right?
I don't have much information about human services, and I think that's another domain. But it is something that we can continue. This survey is a continuing issue. So it's closed for now, but it's planned to reopen for the future. So I think your concern may be addressed in that future meeting.
Yeah, I just want, thanks to our commissioner for holding it down. Just the times on this, I couldn't participate as much as I wanted to, but I did send some direct feedback that I was concerned about, just in communications, making sure they include the web content accessibility stuff. I didn't see that, and she's like, so can we weave it into communications? I'm like, yes, please. So I hope that's reflected on the record. And then Elizabeth, I can only see her first name, but Elizabeth, whoever's with that group. And I sent her a couple just emails of some concerns. And the second was just about the data they presented. And this was something I said on the first meeting when they were about to start the slides. I said, please don't show me the census data without context. And they showed me the census data without context. So I said, okay, if you're going to use census data, you have to provide a couple paragraphs on like the limitations. So I wrote some and sent them to her. And I said, here's another data set that's a little bit better from LA County Health Surveys from Public Health. And I shared that. So I said, they said it was a draft what they were sharing. So I said, if you have a final version, it needs to have context if you share census data and include this as a comparison. So I'm hopeful we'll see that, because that's a sore spot. The census is undercounting people, and then when they allocate things, they're going to think it's a low number, and that's a hill I'm trying to. I'll die on that hill. That's it.
Well, thank you. Next up, we have the Disability Pride Month Planning Ad Hoc Committee. Commissioner Elliott, I don't know if you want to give an update here. I've unfortunately also had issues with missing the meeting because of the time it's been at. So I think I missed the last 2.
Yes, we had a productive meeting. I've been in so many meetings. We talked about getting some assistive technologies from Microsoft, and we budgeted those out. I think they're going to move forward with that. Something they wanted our feedback on is in July having what do we do with council with the mental health? What's the term for that? Where they like a proclamation for July. If that was something we're interested in, that's something we could do. I thought it was a good idea, but I said I wanted to bring it back because I don't want to speak. But if that's I think it's a good idea. Like since the ADA's in July, or like Disability Pride Month, like having some like that. That's something they wanted feedback on. They were gonna do some like outreach, and I think the theme we were talking about is like accessibility is everything. It's not just like buildings, it's digital, it's healthcare, it's everything. So having some sort of outreach campaign highlighting the ubiquitousness of accessibility. I'm drawing a blank. I'm not doing the best historical. Blake was there, had some good insights. We're going to meet again in 2 weeks to follow up. I have all this information, just not off the top of my head. But the thing they wanted feedback from us is if we're interested in a proclamation. I'd like to tell them yes, but I want to get a consensus here. I'd like to invite Blake and make sure I'm not missing anything. We wanted this group's feedback on. Yeah. I also asked for like $600 for our commission, just like $50 per meeting for like waters and snacks. Because there is a budget. Coffee, whatever. Just we dedicate a lot of our time. Can we get some coffees and waters and snacks?
Thank you.
And I pushed back a little bit. They led with wanting trainings. I pushed back and thought, getting assistive technologies.
With what?
The initial meeting, they were talking a lot about like a training, but I was like, first A higher priority I thought would be getting like assistive technology tools for this, the training building, and then for the DEI staff. And also $600 for us, and also an outreach campaign, and also part of the outreach campaign to plug our commission, encourage people to join. I might be missing some stuff, and I might have not got it 100%, but that's my best recollection. But maybe we can talk or get consensus on if we want to do the proclamation. Did I miss anything? No, that was pretty much. Okay.
And am I correct when the lady that I don't see her, said there's cameras in here streaming our meeting?
On
So
YouTube.
people on YouTube.
Yeah, we're live on
And
YouTube right
there's
now.
audio as well.
Yeah, you can watch this meeting tonight or in a few days.
It's
Or right now.
it's recorded and you can watch today live or next day or a week from now. But the thing is, I paid attention that a lots of meetings for other commissions, they had some sort of promotion and they advertised 3 days before the meeting.
I sent an email, copies to Joe and to Alex, to Mayor Negretti. Specifically, that's one of the items that I said, we want to get people in here
Right.
because we're being underrepresented compared to other commissions. But, the place is packed for architectural, for Parks and Rec. And, Mayor Brock had Joe and I here, and he admitted to us, he said, you're really not one of my favorite commissions.
Nice.
Parks and Rec was where I was for 20 years. And I kind of looked at him like, well, that's not a very polite thing, a very politically correct response. But anyway.
Sorry, it may not be politically correct, but he's speaking his mind, perhaps. And if we are not there, then we are not there, right?
I even included as a possibility is getting a little block ad in the Santa Monica Daily Press that we now meet the second Wednesdays of every month at 6:30 p.m. and you're welcome to join us.
Exactly, because we have a
City
community
Council.
out there who needs to access our services. They're actually out there physically. You go out now, you see the people. So they need to come in here and let us know what they're concerned, what they need from us.
Right.
Commissioner Elliott?
One oversight is I also gave a plug to get a section on the website to share some of the great resources we're curating, and I shared the template I had filled out a few years ago when that came up, and we thought we were going to get one, so I followed up, shared the template from 3 years ago, and that's we want to get a space on the website to put all these great resources. Maybe it's on the accessibility section, a little subsection with our resources, but just somewhere. I gave a plug for that as well.
Commissioner Rael, I think do you have more?
No.
Okay.
I just kind of like to say that we need to spread information. I'm agree about our commission because people just don't know that we exist.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're kind of bleeding into the next item on 9C, but yeah, I also did attend a meeting. There was a meeting with the other chairs of the commission, or the other commissions in Santa Monica. And one of the things, at least that was new to me is, and news to many of the other chairs, is that there is apparently a mechanism to get a city council liaison associated with your commission.
That was another point I made.
Yeah, so this apparently was much more common in the past, like prior to COVID, where each commission would have someone on city council who would kind of dedicate a lot of time to that commission, and could, in addition to the city staff liaison, also act as another helper conduit to gain visibility, get things done, and this seems to have kind of withered a little bit, as many things did during COVID. And there was some discussion during the meeting as to whether or not this is still possible to get set up, because the city staff seemed to be under the impression that it was, but some of the chairs were saying they had tried but had little success. But nevertheless, I think it's something it's worth trying. So I'm going to be trying to do that because, yeah, just getting more connections within the city government, I think is going to be crucial for us to actually get anything done here. Yeah, Councilman Dodge.
Well, I'm sorry to say I didn't hear much of that because it's on and off and on and off and on and off and very frustrating. All night it's been like that. I have not been able to hear, half of what people said. But I really tuned into our lack of visibility, like it's one of the most important things. Tech, of course, is top to everything. We know that. We have to, that's primo. But we have to get our visibility out there. I cannot think of a time when it's like with that $600, maybe we could take care of putting an announcement in the paper at least. People can't even come. It's never even in there. None of the commissions are in there. They don't advertise anything. The city is reorganizing, new everything. They don't know what they want to do with the commissions. They want to mix them all up. They're still trying to find like this whole big thing they can put the Disability Commission to mix in, like with the seniors or the human services or one or two of the other ones. But they just don't get that you cannot, the seniors and the disability, the seniors are specific to that age group and their conditions. Disability is throughout everything and every life and everything that's out there, these disabled issues. And like, to think what we had in the other, in the original commission where there was somebody doing something on everything. We had ad hoc committees everywhere working on projects that helped everyone. I mean, CJ with the legal aspect, he would get commendations from the city because he would save the city so much money by his wisdom. We're entitled to have people. If we can't do all the times be here, we can have people as much, because they consider it disability. We can, they don't come for 6 months like me, when it's winter. Well, they're still commissioners. So we have all these things that are out there. We had so much city support. When you said it was like unbelievable what you could get, what the city gave us, and what we had. I mean, we had a deaf and dumb person who had to have, an interpreter for the deafness and an interpreter and someone to speak for them. And we had every kind of disability. I'm the only person here in a wheelchair. We're supposed to have half disabled and half this. There's all these rules. I think what we need to do is just develop what we want and what's the most important. And I think visibility is absolutely, so tech, of course, I put that on top of everything I'm saying but visibility, people can't, they don't know, they can't ask us questions. Visibility and communication. If we could just get that, find a way to communicate with people, that would amazingly help them, either visually, with video, whatever. Anybody finds whatever they do, but we can do it, and it's not that hard. We get together, we decide this is what we suggest. We get someone on the city who shares, and then we make a proposal, and then they go through it, and they say, well, this can happen, and that. And then they present it to the city. Okay, finalize to the city. This is what the Disability Commission is would like it to be. And then they will enact it, and it's been very, very, those are the two most important things they gave me when I started in the Disability Commission. It was absolutely crucial to have a very good relationship with everybody, in the city. It was of vital importance. We had to communicate with them and talk to them and find somebody that really supported us. And the other thing they stressed was we were not to bring up personal issues. We were not to bring up anything that was just our whatever. And that we stuck to the agenda and stuck to You know, I was cut off many a time. This isn't on the agenda. This isn't what we're talking about. This isn't, but it helps, and it helps get a lot more work done. So if we could just, that's just sort of delved into what I wanted us to do, what everybody in the commission should just decide. Just put in, this is what we would like to see happen. And can, you know, somebody in the city can say, well, you know, this can happen, this can, and then you write a letter and you're okay, and then they say, okay, that's good, and they do it. So it's up to us. I would like to see us, because the commission I was on for what, I don't know, we had 7 years or something like that. We got so much, we did so much. Oh, it was incredible. But it was all, it was like it wasn't us. It was like the city that really supported all these venues and all these ideas and getting out to the community and all those things. So I'm hoping that, and I'm not going to be around that much longer, for heaven's sakes. I would like to see the commission. It's going to take years with this new, you know, they're still collecting data. And I think we can focus. We can get in right now. Okay, we want these little, we would like the commission to be like this. Do we have to follow Robert's Rules of Orders? Do we have to, I mean, they're changing everything. We're not following everything anyway. So that's sort of the whole, you know, general lay of what I would like to see us to get us to do things. I mean, we really, all of us on the old commissions just had all kinds of projects we were working on all the time. I mean, the very first one I worked on, we went to Starbucks and had our meeting there, you know, and started, we were working on a poster. You know, simple, whatever it was. It doesn't make any difference what it is. You have a committee with somebody and you get together and then you come back here and you talk to the rest of the commission, see what they, you know, what they want and go on like that. And I would also like us maybe to have a say in what these, you know, they want us to be here to be a sounding board for these people who are coming here, but you know, how many sound, you know, how much we have to be, we want to be that, but we have to have time to stick to our agenda and get the important things done.
Have we received any feedback from the new city council at all? Anything?
One reply to one of our letters, right?
Yeah, we got one reply from Councilman Dan Hall. But yeah, I you know, I agree with Commissioner Casimir Dodge. I mean, you know, I think that, you know, it is, we do provide a valuable resource to, you know, the city and any groups who come to us and are, you know, asking for our input on particular things. But, you know, at the same time, that's kind of a passive role where, you know, you know, they come to us with projects and, you know, we provide our advice on those projects and that's all well and good. But yeah, if, you know, everyone here, if you have, you know, any initiatives that you personally are passionate about and want to take on, you know, I highly encourage that because, like, you know, the commission is the people here. Like, we are the, you know, we are the commission. You know, we have the power to do all of these things. It just requires our initiative.
I wanted to ask you, just so I have it right in my notes, you mentioned a Medi-Cal certification. What was the title of that?
Medi-Cal Peer Support Services
Medi-Cal.
certification.
Peer support services.
And sorry, Commissioner Adeyemi, I think you had a point you wanted to make or a question.
Yes, I'd like to comment on what Commissioner Cosma just said. I think she reflected on how things were and how things work. And I think we can borrow from some of that, going back to what makes things work. And I don't know how much latitude we as a commission have to go out there and say, this is my card, I'm from the Disability Commission. A person-to-person outreach. If you have any issues, come to our commission on Wednesday. Let us know how we can reach the city council on your behalf. And I think we have lost some of that because here we are talking about taking a page out of a newspaper. How many people read newspaper? A disabled person doesn't read newspaper for the most part. Okay, so it is our job to see somebody out there and say, I think you need help. Come to us on Wednesday and let's see what the issues are. And I think we need to do that. You know, we need to do the humane part of this job, if I can call it that, the outreach, rather than depend on digital things. So this is my take on that.
Is it published on city's website? Or,
The meetings, or, yeah, the meetings are, but, you know, you would have to be looking for it to,
yeah, I can volunteer to go to different libraries and post a note. And reach out to some people, invite them.
We have a mailing list now too. That's brand new. I subscribe to it. It lets you know. They actually told me it was going to be tough to park today.
All of a sudden, I'm getting all kinds of emails on Outlook,
Yeah.
which I have an iPhone. It doesn't really like Outlook, but I'm getting demolition permits, all kinds of city emails. And of course, the obsequious do not open. This is an external email. I
and,
think outreach is important
yeah.
for us.
And I think in our kind of meandering discussion, we ended up actually skipping over Commissioner Gordon for the Housing Commission. So I don't know if you had
yeah.
anything you wanted to
Yeah,
update us about.
that's weird. I
Didn't want to
even,
skip you.
That's what I meant to. I didn't even know it was on the. Is it on here?
Yeah, 9A3, it's 4.
9A, reports from ad hoc. Oh, because I'm a liaison. Yeah, I went to the Housing Commission, and it was really good. I am going to meet with Chair Gordon, no relation.
Crowd
Yeah.
of people?
Yeah, and the one thing I want to comment about that is we are building up. We have somebody from the city that was here and Step Up was here, so we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere.
That's true.
You know, like I said, the regular meeting agenda with these sort of things, with notifying people of a meeting, our meeting still isn't coming up. I'm still not getting notifications. Yeah, I've been getting for the Planning Commission, Zoning Commission, ARB, Housing Commission, but ours, it looks like this. I still don't get notifications for our own meeting.
I don't get it either.
So I don't know why, somebody said it might have had something to do with the minutes aren't completed or something, or, I don't know. I don't know why we're not getting it.
You don't get the email?
I don't get the notification for our meeting. I get the notification for every other single meeting, whether it's the Housing Commission, zoning, planning, ARB, landmarks. And I almost go to almost every single one of them. Yeah, but as for our Disability Commission meeting, what you see here on the screen, the first page here, you know, when I go to my emails, they don't send me, the city of Santa Monica doesn't send me an email for our own meeting. So I've been bringing that up. So that's another reason why you won't see a lot of people here. I don't know what's going on, why we don't get notifications, why I'm not getting a notification from the city for our own meeting. I get them for all the other ones. No, it's the first page.
And then is there anything specific to the
Yeah, the housing thing? Yeah, and so it was really great. I'm gonna, Chair Gordon, no relation, is going to teach, she said I could call her and she's gonna teach me how to agendize. I had a really, really bad experience with the Housing Authority. I was scheduled for an annual inspection, and the housing inspector, Carol Genovese, she showed, I was there, she knocked on the door. She listed me as a no-show which was not the case. I was there, but I always have to have a witness present with me because of the tactics of the management company. And as a result, I called Jonathan Irwin Frank, and this is what I was telling the Housing Commission, because they need to know about what's been going on, my own story. So I called Jonathan Irwin Frank, who's the deputy city attorney, and let him know about Carol Genovese saying I was a no-show, that I missed a housing inspection, because you could lose your voucher because of it. I'm a voucher holder. Anyways, the bottom line is, she did retaliate against me and sent me a housing inspection notice saying, you missed your housing inspection. If you miss it again, you will lose your apartment, which is not the truth. I did do an email to, I don't know if you guys know Natalie Verlinich. She's number 2 of the whole thing. And I told her that I met her when I was sworn in across the street, you know, as a disability commissioner. And so I'm going to show that to Chair Gordon too, because they want to know about it. And I did get Natalie Verlinich she says it might be a template problem. I really have a feeling it came from the tactics of Carol Genovese, but at least I brought it to her attention and brought it to Jonathan Irwin Frank's attention. And what I was able to do was to get the language.
Sorry, I think this is like more specific to your specific situation. I think we have to talk to matters that are more
Okay,
general.
I guess you just want me to fill you in as what the Housing Commission really wants me to tell them about what was going on, because there's a lot of people that are disabled or vulnerable that could lose their place to stay because of that. So I did get the language changed, or I got Natalie Verlinch to change the language so that it's not threatening that you will lose your place, you may. So I wasn't trying to get too personal. I was just trying to let you know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who are disabled or in the housing community, if they don't know that, it's very scary.
Yeah.
But we got the language changed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about your situation, but I'm gonna tell there's usual practice.
Who's usual?
That's a usual practice for housing authority in Santa Monica to act like this, make people scary.
Oh, you mean the behavior of the housing authority?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's not the first time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
ongoing for many years.
Yeah.
And they don't care if there is disabled people in front of them. They still will be threatening them. I had experience with
They'll
them in
bait
the
them.
past too. So I was almost I don't want to even explain my condition
Okay.
after I communicate with them.
With the housing authority.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was almost
It's true.
like done with this life after communicating with their representative.
You mean you were feeling that desperate? You
Uh,
said you're almost done with your life.
Desperate, they creating some sort of circumstances when the situation with specific representative was not solvable. Law says one thing, they should follow, they not follow.
Right.
So they just keeping the case in the hand of one representative, they holding you hostage,
Yep,
and
yep.
they emotionally draining you to death.
Yes.
That's their practice.
Yes,
So-
and that's what I got. Ironically, talked to a case manager at Step Up, and you know, my blood pressure is actually through the ceiling. I mean, I know that sounds like it's hyperbole, but my whole life was turned upside down for a whole month because you're scared to death because the language said you will lose your voucher.
They even sending papers.
No, I know.
They even notifying managing landlord.
Yeah, no.
So they almost evicting you. Doesn't matter what proof
That's
you're
a tactic.
submitting.
That is a tactic of Carol Genovese. That's one thing I'm thankful I was appointed to this. But what I've been getting is there's a lot of anger and hatred, just resentment towards voucher holders, that they like to bait you, you know, BAIT, that they like to provoke you. And that's why I think it was important for me to bring this up. I know it sounds like it's personal, but it ties in. And that's what I would, so I want to work more towards getting the language changed. There is a 3-step process before you're stripped of your voucher. Carol Genovese made it said, if you don't make it. She also said that she told the deputy city attorney that I was holding up oven repairs and I was obstructing their ability to change appliances. I was without a fridge for a year. So,
So if I can maybe make a suggestion here that maybe moves us into item 9B.
okay, I'm sorry about that.
No, this is helpful. I want to make sure that this, rather than this just being us talking about it, maybe something gets done. Like there's people here who are passionate about this issue, right? So I would
Yeah,
suggest.
'cause if you think you're gonna get kicked out on the street, your heart's in your throat. It's a very scary thing.
Yeah, so I would
And she
suggest
was
that,
abusing her authority.
you have the option now, if you want to, maybe make an ad hoc committee. You can now, then talk about this. You could collect data, you could make a suggestion. You could, if the city council is not aware of this, right, nothing's going to get done. Right, so
but
you
see,
could bring this to other people's.
Council aware actually of the situation with parking. They aware of situation with that action from housing authority. Even complaint was filed many times to city attorney office. They do have a special division for housing. Nobody replies.
Well, I can't say that anything,
Yeah.
guarantee that anything will get done because, we're not the city council, but I'm just saying that if you report this as, this Disabilities Commission
we have
reporting
to do
this,
something with this.
that's at least another thing.
Well,
So,
and it is a new city council, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they've only been around for what, a few months or something like that?
yeah, so it's a perfect opportunity if you so desire to,
Well, a lot of
do something about it.
A lot of disabled people have vouchers, so why don't we do an ad hoc on
Okay,
disability housing vouchers?
this is where I find the importance of having one of the council members visit the commission. You see,
Yeah.
if
what
he
I
was
want in my
here
email, too.
or she was here, this would be like a first-hand information that he can take up with the council. Sometimes we write letters and we don't get any replies for 3 weeks, for a whole month.
Well, what I learned of also witnessing the housing commission meetings, that they are pretty seasoned, and they too said that they were learning as they go how to. I would hear them making proposals to draft language because city council pretty much shines them, but they learned how to draft the language to the city charter to get the city council to pay attention to them. So it was a learn as they go, and that's what I'm learning from going to all these different meetings. And I think if I agendize with Chair Gordon, and then we could do an ad hoc, because that really has an impact on your psyche and your physical health.
Mental health.
Oh yeah, you should see that, and I'll show you the inspection notes. And she lied to the deputy city attorney, and it is a very scary thing. I mean,
I'm not understand why they're not getting that people going through such emotional stress. The people who already have some sort of like disability, I'm not understand why they intentionally putting them through all this
because
situation.
there's a lot of hatred and anger and resentment from the people who work at the housing authority. They think that pretty much, and this is from a case manager I talked to, that we're just a bunch of lowlifes that aren't thankful that we got vouchers, that we should be happy to have vouchers. I've heard about people going over, they've said, you didn't fill out your recertification, so you're going to lose your voucher, just to really screw with people. And people have gone down there, understandably very agitated, and then they 86 them, tell them that, call the police, tell them they're not allowed at the housing authority office. Because you kind of have to really walk on eggshells. So there's just as what I got from everybody, just there's an extreme hatred coming from people who work at the housing authority towards people who have vouchers. It's just, that's what I've gotten from case managers, and you have to be, if the housing inspector, what she did to me. I'm just thankful that I was appointed to the Disability Commission, because I was able to get in touch with Natalie Verlinich, and I was able to get the language changed, or at least maybe Carol Genovese was spoken to about her retaliatory behavior. Because she does not like the fact that I called Jonathan.
I object to that, really.
I've had.
I've been on Section 8 for, in this county, in this city, for 16 years, and I do not find that. And I was aware when they inspected my apartment. They do have that language. It's just never bothered me. I never took it as any kind of anything. It's just they want to make sure you're there for the appointment. No one has ever mistreated me. I may not have liked this or that other thing. But basically, I have not found that, in my experience, to be true. That's
Well,
all I'm
I'm
saying.
glad you're one of the lucky few ones. So I'll get off of that. I made my point.
So yeah, I guess I'll move us to 9B and then ask, is there anyone here who would like to make an ad hoc committee on any topic that you wish? Yes, Commissioner.
On disability, people with disabilities that have vouchers and their experience with various,
Or people who just have vouchers too, including people who have disabilities, because I don't have a
just because
disability.
you get a voucher doesn't mean, it's a whole
Yeah,
different.
I mean, I guess I would say that the topic of the ad hoc would have to pertain to individuals with disabilities, but
Oh.
given that, it seems like this is an area of collaboration with the Housing Commission, right? So this is something that is affecting people with disabilities as well as people who do not have disabilities, but who are on vouchers, and this is something of interest to the Housing Commission as well. So, you as liaison are obviously already working with them, but I would just say that if you have a specific idea as to, some recommendations you would like to make, you'd like to work with Commissioner Royale.
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
So I would hold on this situation. I know what's going on. It's going on for years. It's not going to change, I think.
No,
For
it
now,
will.
but I will think about possibility probably and came up with some idea for the next meeting. So because for right now, I don't know how we can
I
change.
got her to change that language, or to at least see, I don't think that the language that was template language, I think that Carol Genovese was being retaliatory, but at least the main thing is I got through to Natalie Verlin, she was number 2, and she said that we changed the language, not you shall lose your apartment, you may, because I talked to Jonathan Irwin Frank, who's a deputy city attorney, he said it's a 3-step process. It's not like you miss an inspection, which I didn't miss, and then you're kicked out. So what she sent me was not accurate, but at least we're getting some movement as far as making sure there's language there, that there's a stair step. She can't take it upon herself just to say, you shall lose it, that they explain to you that there's 3 chances for housing inspections.
Great. Yeah. Well, I guess in that case, we'll get an update next month, and maybe if
Okay.
you want to, depending on what that is, maybe we can establish some ad hoc there. So yeah, we've kind of already talked about the vacancies. I don't know if anyone has anything they'd like to add on that. If not,
I just hope the city does the big plug to, because terms ends 6/30. We want to have a full commission starting July 1 or as soon as possible. So please, city, plug it multiple times on all your socials. Get the word out.
Accurate what's on the web as far as member roster.
Yeah.
yeah.
And term.
Yeah, we have 1 vacancy, a couple that are
2 or 3
expiring.
people are expiring.
Yeah, so I'm hoping as close to July 1, we have 11 active members and more applicants than seats.
Yeah, and this was also something that I brought up at the meeting with the other chairs. And okay, so next up we have discussion and possible action on completing the 25-26 annual work plan. I don't know if anyone has anything specific that they wanted to bring up on this. This is kind of just a standing item.
Yeah, I say let's table this because, we're going to have new members and things and hit the ground running at the next one.
Okay.
But I'd say your homework is just to look at it and people are passionate about stuff and see how you can get it to fit the template. And let's talk about it next month. But that's my view on it.
Yeah.
Can I ask what is the, it's not in here, I guess I saw it on the internet, on the web.
There's a link.
Cities, there's 3 different layouts or something.
If
Is that the airport conversion I'm confusing it with?
No, if you look at item 9E, there's a link to the template. Click on one of those and study it a little bit. I believe it's due in October. We're hoping next year we get this earlier and complete it earlier, but it's due in October is my understanding. So see how your ideas can fit into this template with stuff you're passionate about or you're hearing from the community.
The next item we have is the Santa Monica Boards and Commissions 2025 Voluntary Self-Identification Questionnaire. I believe you probably already would have gotten an email about this. Yeah, I don't know if you would like to explain this a little more.
It's from the city clerk. They asked us to print out these in front of you. You all have printouts with QR codes on them, if you can scan them. It's just a voluntary self-identification for every committee member on every commission and committee.
So yeah, please do that if you haven't already. The last item we have is future agenda planning.
I think just one, there's going to be a new city manager, so just that should be on our parking lot. And I think at the next meeting, we should just acknowledge our chair and vice chair for doing 2 straight terms.
Wow.
I'm finally terming out, so.
Was that 8 years?
No, only 2 years as chair. One of the things actually I did recommend to the city in this meeting was that I do believe that the length of the chair should be longer, because it does kind of feel like once you start getting the hang of it, then you like term out.
And you can't be a vice chair.
And you can't be a vice chair either, so it does kind of feel like, the chair is perpetually a neophyte, but.
Why can't be extended?
Yeah.
It's written into the
Charter.
charter bylaws of the
Chair is 1
commission.
year.
That the chair it has a limit of 2 years.
Two
yeah.
2-year terms.
No, each term is 1 year, you have 2 terms, so.
Yeah, but I know that at the housing commission, they have 4
second
years.
that one.
No, so there's being, like on the commission, which is a 4-year term, and you can be on the commission for 3 terms, so you can be on the commission for up to 12 years.
Yeah.
But you can only be chair for 2 years.
Yeah, but they ignore some of the bylaws. You know what I mean? They pick and choose. They should be able, that was part of my point.
Yeah.
You know, we should be able to influence that kind of thing when they're already picking and choosing.
'Cause
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure with the housing commission, that the Chair Gray was the chair for 4 years.
So I did actually ask the city attorney about this. Apparently, if there is no one else who is willing to be chair, then, they can waive the term limits. I did not want to bring this attention to Radical, because I do believe that there are people here who
Cat's out of the bag
want to
now,
be chair.
baby.
So you don't want to continue?
I would prefer that someone else be chair.
Yeah, I know, it's a
I've
pain in
termed
the
out.
butt.
A lot of work.
So, anyway, this time is,
Yeah, okay.
coming up. So if you do have any interest in being chair or vice chair,
But you
think about it.
could maybe even be, you could be vice chair and kind of tutor whoever the,
Yeah, I do believe that would be a better system, if
Yeah.
the bylaws allowed for it.
Or will need a lot of help.
But, yeah.
Move to adjourn.
Chair, do you know if we have a parade on July 4th?
I have not heard anything about,
The city know?
they usually do it down Main Street.
yeah.
They meet over, don't they meet over by
How do,
the,
how do I find out? Does the city know if there's a parade on July 4th?
usually it goes down Main Street, doesn't it?
For the 4th of July?
Yeah,
I'm unaware.
that's what they had every year.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like given that we're in, the next meeting is going to be after July 4th.
4th.
There's nothing really we can do about it at this point. Okay.
Our community walks every July 4th, so I just wanted to know if Disabilities Commission or DCRC are registered to walk.
Yeah, I contacted DCRC last year about it, and they were not
They're fine.
doing it. So that's maybe a good action item for the next chair.
Have you seen this?
No. Is there anyone else have any other future agenda items? If not, we can adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and thank you also to our wonderful AV staff
Thanks, Blake.
and captioner.
Thank you
And
very
thank you
much.
for
Sticking through the whole meeting.
and thank you, Blake.
Yeah, it was nice of you.